You did a bit of work on W3 schools, but but you just tried a lot of things today. Today, I will attempt to show you how you can run your JavaScript code, right? Before we eventually okay. All right, cool. Okay. So you did some basic works, but I want to put all of them in perspective. Like the same way that you have been doing your project. So for instance, I want to take this so that you'll get it. Please draw my attention if you really cannot hear my voice anytime. Okay. All right. So like we did the last time, you would have a typical website like what I have here on my. Okay, I'm getting a lot of people. Okay. So you would have a typical website. You have your HTML, you have your CSS and all that, right? The same way, um, they are so the JavaScript you learn, how do you add it to your website? That's what I want to touch base on today. How do you add the JavaScript you have learned so far, at least the basics to your website, right? Several ways to do it. All right. All right. One, you can put, you see, you can put a script tag anywhere in your HTML, okay? Just do it. You can put a script tag like this anywhere in your HTML. If you can't see it, let me know. You can put a script tag anywhere in your HTML, and then you start writing your JavaScript inside. Does that make sense? So you can add a script tag here before the body, and then you write your JavaScript inside here. Does that make sense? Yeah. Or let me start on a cleaner note. Or you can create a new file in your project, and we can say you give it any name, then you call it. The file must end with the extension .js. Any question? Any file that has the extension .js means it's a JavaScript file. Are we on the same page? It could be a separate file, and then give it the extension .js, and that will mean that it's a JavaScript file. Are we on the same page? Now, but this will mean that the file is not connected to your HTML in any way. If you want to connect it, it's as simple like you have always done. You include a script tag, but I'll come back to that. But it means the page hasn't been connected yet. It's a separate file on its own. But then what I'm saying here is that you can do all the things you've been doing so far here in your JavaScript. For instance, you did what? You had a let, and then you have a variable, let's say number one. I'm just going over a bit of what you did. You can see a variable is called number one. Then you can let
Hello,
another.
hello, I
Yes,
think I
yes.
think
Yeah,
your
you are
screen
stuck.
is you're stuck on
Please.
the HTML.
Oh, okay. Let me just reshare it again and see. Stop presenting. Do the presentation again. Let me know if you have the new one. Do you have the my new date?
Yes, you can see that one.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I created a new file. I said that any file that ends with the extension .js means it's a JavaScript file. I hope that we all understood. So just the way you name your files and you can call it .js, then it means you are writing JavaScript. Does that make sense? And you learn about variables the other day, right? So I've created two variables. I said the first one is number one, and so now I can go ahead and see what number one, which is a variable, plus what number two, and what should be the result. What result do I expect to see if I do it? The value, what will be the value of the answer? So this is how you declare a variable in JavaScript. You mentioned Sosu demo that to you the last time. You use the let keyword, or which other keyword did he say again? The constant keyword, right? Two ways to declare variable. You state the type of variable you are declaring using the let keyword or the constant keyword. You can use the constant keyword. Constant. All right. So ways to declare variable. You declare a variable in JavaScript by saying using the let keyword or the constant keyword, followed by the name of the variable, and then you bring the assignment operator, and then you give it the value you want to give it to. Are we on the same page?
Yeah.
This is how you declare a variable in JavaScript. The name of the variable. You have to say the variable, you have to say let or constant. You come to understand why let or constant, but it's a special keyword. You either use let or use constant to denote a variable, followed by the name of the variable. Then you bring an equal to sign to assign the variable, and then you provide the value of the variable. Any question? Can you all create variables in JavaScript now?
Yeah.
Okay. Get the concept right. Very important concept. I don't want you to miss this. Variables are, it's used in every programming language. Okay. One programming language, of course, arguably, is JavaScript. Are you with me? You've done HTML, you have done CSS, but HTML is you are designing the structure of your website, right? And the CSS, you are defining how beautiful the site is. But then there's a third element. A third element. Okay, somebody's here. Please make sure you get me from today. This concept is really important for you moving on even in the world of programming. You've done HTML. Hope are you there? And you've done HTML.
Yes,
Which,
please.
yeah, HTML is what? The structure of your website, right? Your CSS is what? The behavior of your, the look of your website. Now there's a third element that helps you manage the behavior of the website. That is called JavaScript. Okay. Now, we mentioned that as for HTML, the file, you save the file called .html, hypertext markup language. For CSS, you save it by what? .css, isn't it? And then JavaScript, we say the extension is what? .js. Are we on the same page? That's well understood. Good. I said that in JavaScript, the common thing you have is called variables. All right. It's what you used the last time. The W3 school is a guide. Okay, it's a guide to. So I will just, it's variables are the main thing, and you declare variable using what? Let and constant. Okay, so there are two ways to declare variable. If you say you either declare variable by saying let, or you declare variables either with the let keyword or the constant keyword. Okay, and then once you say let, you name the variable, give the name of the variable, and then you bring an equal to sign, and then you give the value of the name. If you have any question, ask. Very crucial points to get. If you let or constant, you give the name of the variable, you assign, and then you give the value of the variable. For instance, I can also say constant name. Okay, and then I can also declare, this is also another variable. We'll come to different types of data types, but these are ways by which I can declare variable. Are you on the same page?
No, please. It seems your screen is stuck again.
No, I'm not really doing anything new. Do you understand what I'm doing, right? At
Oh,
least
all
from
right.
that
Okay, thank you. All
you
right, thank you.
understand the concept of variables now, right?
Yes, please.
Does anyone have problem with the concept of variables? Let me. Any problem with the concept of variables, please? Very important. All right. If you understand the concept of variables very well, by now you should be able to create your own variables and name them. Now, variables are placeholders. Let's say that you want to do something in the future, but you want the variable to hold the place for that thing so that you can use it in the future. For instance, if I want to add two numbers, I will need two numbers so that I can add them, isn't it? So if I need two numbers so that I can add them, what to mean is that I need something to hold the first number and I need something to hold the second number. so that when I add them, I can make reference to them. So in this case, I've declared a variable called number 1, which is 10, and I've declared another number called number 2, which is 20. Now, if I say number 1 plus number 2, what am I referring to? Can anyone give me an explanation to this? I have a variable called number 1. I have another one called number 2. If I say number 1 plus number 2, what do I mean?
Adding the values of 10 and 20.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. And in this case, after adding them, I've assigned their result to another variable called answer.
Answer.
Are we on the same page?
Mm.
Okay, cool. Now, in JavaScript, an easy way to let something show on the terminal so that you can see is what we call console.log. If you want something to show for you to see, so if if you are using VS Code, after doing this, you see this action here, this play button here. If you click it, the code will run. Are you with me? Please, are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. If you click this play button, the code that you have written here, now codes run systematically to start from the top all the way to what? The down. Okay. Now, if you need something to print on your screen for you to see, you have to put it inside what? Console.log. Are you with me? So you see that I put console.log in what? The answer in the console.log. That's why I'm seeing what here. What can you see here? 30, right? That means I'm printing the result of what? Answer, which is what? Number 1 plus number 2. If I change the number 2 to 40, if I run again, what do I expect to see in the console.log?
Maybe 50.
50, exactly. So if I run this again, you see that have I done something to my answer? Okay. Let me clear this again. So you see, it's 50. Any questions so far? Is there something you don't understand on your screen so far? We'll take that. Okay. If this is well understood, I will now if I do console.log name, I told you console.log is the way you show things on the screen, like in the terminal for you to see the result, right? So it's just something in JavaScript that helps you to show. Now, if I say console.log name, what do you expect to see on my screen? The name is holding this value, is it my name here? So if I say console.log name, I expect to see what? Brighter header printed on the screen. Any question, any doubt so far? Before we go higher. Any question? Okay. Now, if you are clear by everything that is there here, I want to mention a few things, then we move on. Now, there are different data types, okay? You can see this is a number. This is also a number. But you can see that this is not a number, but this is what we call a string. I'll write it against it, string. We call this string. All right, that's the name. Now, this data type is a string. Numbers are used to hold digits like this, but we have another one that's used to hold characters, and we call it strings. All right. So this data type, the one that we used to hold characters, we call it strings. Any question? Now, I'm doing something interesting here. I'm declaring a variable called const, and
Yes, I
I'm saying,
think your screen is still stuck on the previous
okay,
one.
so start. Okay. Coming. What is this in my internet that's messing up today? I think so. This is Popa. Your internet, I will not be lying to you that they have.
When it does that, once you move away from the presentation and go back to it, it continues. So
Okay. Let me try that next time again. So you have my screen. I have two variables. One is first name and the other one is last name. If you have all my screens, okay. Okay, you have them. Now, if I do this, what's the data type for the first name based on what I've explained so far?
Strange.
String, exactly. Then the data type for the last name is also a string, like we explained together. Now, if I do this for double slash here, it means that I'm saying it's a comment. You know, comment in HTML and CSS, right? This is the way you comment in JavaScript. This means that this portion of the code will not run. Okay, this is what we mean when we do that. You have actually started writing code now, so a bit of attention. Now, if I say console.log, it means I want to print something on the screen. I mentioned that to you. If I say console.log first name and I add last name to it, this concept of adding two strings together is what we call concatenation. Do you see what's happening here? See this line? This line. Let me just do this. This line. It's called concatenation. Where see my line 13. I've done first name plus last name. What is first name? Bright. What is last name? Ahead of. I've added the two of them together. What do I have? Bright ahead of. Are you with me? So this concept, so in as much as you can add numbers together, the plus operator can also be used to add two strings together if you want to combine the strings. All right, very good. Now, like you might have heard of long time ago, you can do all the kinds of arithmetic operations. Like you can do number 1 minus number 2. That also will work because they are numbers. You can subtract them as well. You can see number 1 is 10, number 2 is 40. So if I subtract them, I have a negative 30. All right, you can do that. You can also do other arithmetic operations like division. You can do multiplication, which we do with asterisk. Okay, so you can see if I multiply 10 by 40, I have 400. Okay, you can do any other arithmetic operation. The division, we use this sign for the division, this slash sign for the division. This is division. All right.
Because are you typing?
Okay.
I'm typing now. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So this is the plus operator. This is the minus operator. This is the multiplication, and this is what? Division. Like the basic operators you know in our math class is also what we do here as well. And then this one is, I told you, once I do this double slash, it means I'm writing a comment, so it will not run. Any questions so far on how we use these arithmetic operations? You can do arithmetic on all forms of numbers. Let's not. Now in math, those of you who are good in math, if you need to, there's one operator I want to mention that people usually don't really take serious, like if you need to. Now we've mentioned plus, minus, what's the name? We've mentioned plus, minus, and those are the basic operators. We'll come to the rest. Any question on the basic operators? Now they are simple, but remember we can combine these things to do really complex operations. Okay, we can combine these to do really complex operations. But we've mentioned variables today. We mentioned data types. We said we have the number data type and we have the string data type. And we say you can do what? Arithmetic operations on the data types. Any questions so far? And we mentioned that to do JavaScript, you can create a new file. Once the file is called .js, it means that it's a JavaScript file. That's the meaning. Once the file has the extension .js like I have here, it means the file is a JavaScript file. Any question? If no question, it means that this is well understood. The concept will be growing, so please make sure you grab the basic concept. We've talked about arithmetic already. I have mentioned to you about assignment operators already. And of course, there's a few more less than and all that. Let me mention those briefly and then you can go on with it. Now, all the other operators are also available. So for instance, if I say number 1 less than number 2, what do you expect to print here? Anyone with any suggestion? What do you expect to see on this line when this line runs?
I think it should print a true or false.
Okay, it should print. That introduces us to another data type. Let's take a look at it. What do you see? True, right? Right. This introduces us to another data type called Boolean. Okay. It's called Boolean. And Booleans are true or false. So in programming, there's a data type we call Boolean. We've mentioned strings, we mentioned numbers, or integers, or doubles, or floats. But we are mentioning another one called Boolean. Now, Boolean is a true or false. Based on the condition you are checking, it's either true or false. So if you say number 1 is less than number 2, the value of number 1 is 10, and the number 2 is 40. So you are saying 10 is less than 40, which is true. So the result will be true. Does that make sense? Right. I should take that as a yes. Another operation, I would say number 3. Let's just use another operation. Number 3 is greater or equal to. This is how you indicate greater or equal to. Greater or equal to number 2. Let's see what it tells us. It says it's true as well. So number 3 is what? 40 is greater or equal to number 2. Its number 2 is 40. So we are saying 40 is greater or equal to 40. And that is true because the 40 is equal to 40. So that should work. That should be true. Any questions so far on how we are using the arithmetic operations? These are basic, but we will combine them to build really interesting things moving forward. Any question? Good. You don't have any questions. So, I mean, there's a lot to do, but we'll come back to this later. I'll mention more of this later. But like I said, these are the main data types. We have strings, we have numbers, we have big integers, we have Boolean, we have undefined, but you get to know more of them later, but don't dwell so much on them. We'll come back to all of them. There are also a few more operators that we can talk about. For instance, of course, we can also have, if I want to compare two things, I can say equals to this. I can have this. So this means equal to. So you see the third round is saying is equal to. I can have another operator. This one means it's not equal to. When you put this sign before, when you put this sign here, which is false, you are saying that this is not equal to this. But number 3 is 40, number 2 is 40. So if you say it's not equal to, the result should be what? False. Any questions? So these are just operators we'll use later that I need you to understand.
So, Mr. Bright,
Yes, please.
and please the 2 equal sign.
Yes.
Is it the same as the three equal
No,
signs?
no. Now,
Okay.
let me show you something. Let's have this. Let's have another. Let's call it number 4. Okay. Let's have another variable called number 4. Okay. And here we'll have this. Okay. Or we'll have this. You see number 1 here and number 4. Each of them have, this one has a number 10, but this one has a string 10. Okay. All right. Now, if you do, let's test that, which you already know. If you do number 4, okay, it's equal to number 1. What do you expect hope to get? If you say number 4 is equal to number 1 with the 2 equal to, what do you expect to get? What do you expect to
It will be
get
true.
here? It should
It will be
be
true. True.
okay. We'll run that shortly. And so what? And then what do you expect to get here on the third one? That's how you check.
Okay, I think the first one will be false, and then the second one will be true or something. I don't know.
The first one will be
False, because we are comparing a string and then a value.
yes. The
And then
first, the last one is a type operator as well. So the last one will compare the types as well. So the triple equal to will compare the types, but the normal equal to does not compare the type. It just compares the value. Does it make sense? So you
Yeah.
see, the first one say true, the last one say what? False. Are you all with me? This is what we are comparing. What we are doing is saying that, you know, number 4 is this kind of 10, okay? All right. And we are saying it's equal to what? This kind of 10. Are you getting it? The first one will only compare the values that are inside them, but the last one will compare the types. And the
All right.
last one will say that this is a string and this one is an integer, so they are not equal. Are we on the same page?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right, cool. I want to teach you one last thing, and then I'll give you assignments based on that. It is conditional statements. Okay. Conditional statement. Now, if you are programming, your logic cannot be going one way. Okay. You want to branch, right? And so you have to branch, or you want to make a decision based on something. And that introduces what you call conditional statement. Okay. Conditional statement, with the first conditional statement we have is an if statement. You write an if, and then into brackets, you write whatever the condition is should be in this bracket. So, and the condition must result to true or false at all the time. So whatever is inside here must be true or false. So for instance, you can say number 1 is greater than number 2. This is a condition. The condition here must result to true all the time. True, it might be true or false, not true all the time. If it is true, then whatever is inside here will work. I hope you are getting it. Console log. Okay. Any question? If we run this code, you don't see anything on the screen. Who understand why we are not seeing anything on the screen? Though we have console.log. Why are we not seeing anything on the screen? Though we have console.log. Why are we not seeing anything on the screen? Can you give us your understanding? Why are we not seeing anything on the screen?
I think maybe it's because there is no other side of the conditionality. So if
Well,
this is not true,
yeah,
then it should be something else.
good.
It should be false.
Not, yeah, I mean, that's good. Not go too far. This means that this code in the middle here, see this curly brace and the closing bracket here. The things that are inside will only happen if this condition is true. Are you with me? Do we all get it? The condition inside here will only show or will only happen if this is true, if this part results in a true. Number 1 means what? Number 1 is 10, number 2 is 40. 10 greater than 40 is false. So this code will not run. Make sense? For the code inside here to run, inside this block to run, this is the body of the function. What is inside the curly bracket is the body. This will only happen if the condition here is true. Good. All right. So if I make this condition true and rather say number 1 is less than number 2, if I run this code, what do we see? We are here. You see it printed on the screen now. Yeah. So if the condition inside this is true, then the code inside the block here will run. Other than that, it will not run. So condition statements help you run only or perform only some actions if a particular condition is met. For instance, until your username and your password is correct on Facebook, you cannot log in. Does that make sense? Yeah. So those are conditional statements. Something will only happen if a condition is met. Something will only happen if a particular condition is met. That's a conditional statement. But like Hope earlier on said, this is just one side of a conditional statement. What if you need the other side to also run? Then we have what we call if-else statement. After the if, you can also have an else statement. And the else is the other side of the statement. So let me say we are in the if, we are in the else. So if the first side is met, it will pass here. If it's not met, else it will pass the second side. Around this code, we are in the else. 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 Number 1 is less than number 2. Is this true? Let me clear the screen so that again. Around this, we are in the if. Yes, we are in the if, the first part. So this condition was satisfied, so it will pass inside this one. You can use this to end your statement if you want to. It's also acceptable in JavaScript. This will be accepted, so this will not run because the first condition was accepted. What it usually done is that the code will look for the conditions and check it first. When the condition is matched, you need to pass inside. Any questions so far? So condition statements, the first condition statements are if-else statements. If-else statements. This is very powerful because you can use it to make a lot of decisions. A lot of decisions. I used to make a lot of decisions. All right. We introduce you to the last thing, and then you have a tall assignment. Now, so based on your logic, based on the logic that it satisfies, you can do the first one or perform the second block. But there's a higher level. In between an if-else statement, you can have what you call else-if statement. Else-if statement. So you have an if statement and you have an else statement. But in between them, you can have what you call else-if. You can have a lot of other conditions, as many as you can. And that one, there's no limit to the number of else-if you can have. You can put as many as you want. The else-ifs can be plenty. It doesn't mind. So you just keep adding the conditions. But what is important that there's an if and there's an else at the end of the day. I recall that again. You can have an if statement on its own like this. That is fine. You can have an if statement with an else statement against it. That is also okay. You can also have an if and an else with plenty else if in the middle between the two. That's also perfectly allowed. Do you get the whole scenario? And who can give me scenarios why you want to use either of them? Think of a situation that you would want to use any of them. Simple if. All right. This one you can use in a simple situation. Of course, a login, you can check if you have the right information you log in. We want to ignore you if you don't have. This one, we can say we want to still check a login. We want to say if you have your information, you log in. If not, we'll tell you your password and things are wrong. The third one, you can use to grade a student. You can say you can take a student's grade, and if the grade is less than, if the grade is greater than 80, you give them an A. If they are less than, if they are between 70 and 80, maybe a B plus. If they are between 60 and this, a B or whatever, you can create several levels using the else if statement all the way to the last one. Any question? So you have an if, you can have just an if, you can have an if and an else, and then you can have an if with an else if, else if, else if, and then you end it with what? An else. Okay. That being said, any question? Any question on the control statement? The if statement. I take over again. Today, we wrap up on variables. We talked about data types. We say we have integers, we have strings, and we have booleans. We said I can declare a variable using the let keyword or the constant keyword. Depends on the situation. And we said that to add a file in a JavaScript file, you just create a file and then you save it with a .js extension. And I went on to say that you have something called control statement. And I said that for control statement, you can have an if statement or if else statement. That's one control statement. We'll talk about the other forms of control statements again. But we said that you can just have an if, and the condition inside this bracket must result to a boolean. So whatever happens, the result of this can either be true or false. Remember, you can change it. You can change the actions inside there. We'll come back to that later. This means number 1 is less than number 2. The result of the thing inside this bracket must either be a true or a false. Now, if it is true, then the condition inside here will execute. You can have another type of if statement where you have if else, which means that if it is true, the first part will run. But if it's not true, then the second part, which is inside here, will not be the one to run. All right. Then you can have an if and an else with a long successive else if in the middle, and then you create your own conditions inside it based on what you want to do. A typical example I mentioned is a grading system of a student. A grading system of a student. On that note, right here on the call, we are going to give the next 20 minutes. You are going to create a conditional statement that will greet the person based on, will tell the person if it's a Monday or a Tuesday or the day of the week it is. But what you do is that we'll start counting the day of the week from Sunday. So if the number is 1, it will tell the person today is Sunday. If the number is 2, it will tell the person today is Monday, today is Tuesday, based on the number. So you're going to use if statement to check if the number the person has provided what the number is. Based on the number, you're going to tell the person the day of the week it is that the person is using your system. Are we all clear? I take over again. Would have a simple, you're going to write a simple program, and the program is going to take a number, say the day of the week that somebody has provided. You're going to declare a variable calling it day of the week. Now you're going to check that variable, creating a lot of control statements, if else statements. To at least be exhaustive, you should at least take 7 if else statements. Now it's going to check if the number is 1, it will say today is Sunday, or whatever you want to say. If the number is 2, to say today is Monday. If it is 3, today is Tuesday. If it is 4, today is Wednesday. Up to the last day, which is Saturday. Are you all with me? Is this clear enough? You just need even 10 minutes to do that. Just 10 minutes. Any confusion anywhere? Any confusion anywhere, or you are clear and you can get this done in 10 minutes? That being said, 10 minutes to get this done. Yes.
Right.
Yes, I'm here.
You
Ask
mean
your questions.
we
Mhm.
define a single variable
Right?
for the day of the
Yes,
week,
right now a
or
single
we
variable
can
called day
allocate
of the week.
each. Come again.
No, you have a single variable called day of the week, which is just a number, right? And then you're going to write a
Uh-huh.
control statement under that if else statement, checking if the number is
Using
1.
that
Then
single
you are going
number.
yes, you are, yeah, you have to check against that number. Yes. So if you change the number, your control statement should print the right thing. So let's say if I say if I say the number is 5, then if I run the code, your code will show me the right message. If I change the number to 6, your code should show me the right message. If I change the number to 1, your code should show me the right message. Does that make sense? Right. We are here. It's 49. 9. You show working. If you are running into any trouble, we are here on the call. Just call in and describe your issues. We'll address it for you quickly. Yep. Are people coding?
Not really. Can you please repeat the instructions again? Because I was lost.
Who has gotten the question? Hope, have you gotten the question?
I'm trying my best. I'm trying something. Let's finish
Tell
something.
us your understanding.
Come again.
Tell us your understanding.
Okay, you said we should do the days of the week from Sunday to, let's say, Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And assign a number to each of the days. So let's say if I type 7 for Sunday,
Yes.
it should go with a message. If I key in the number 7, it should give me a message for that day of the week. I don't know if that's the question. If I've gotten the question correct.
You started well. Create a variable for the day of the week. It's a number. Like I said, make it a number. Number 2. After that, create a control statement, or what we call if statement, right? Which you mentioned today. To print on the screen. So your control statement should print something on the screen, like you should be seeing some message like today is, then the day of the week could be here, right? But that day of the week, this day of the week, you expect it to be either something like, so if it's a Sunday, so if the number here, for instance, the variable number, if it is 1, then we are going to say today is what? Monday. Today is Sunday. I said we should start from Sunday. Today is Sunday, right? If the number is 2, the screen should present what? Today is what? Monday, or today is Tuesday, today is Wednesday. Based on the number, your control statement is going to work based on the number. So if the number is 1, the today is something will be if the number is 1, to be today is Sunday is what we'll see on the screen. If the number is 2, you have today is what? Monday. If the number is 3, you have today is Tuesday. Like that. Does that make any sense now? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I'm confused too.
Why are you confused?
Because okay, I'm thinking there will be different numbers assigned to each day of the week. But you're saying we should use
No.
a single number. Yeah.
How will you approach it? By assigning different numbers?
So by saying, for
Mhm.
instance, one if
So if you are checking a
one
control
is
statement against a variable,
Sunday. Mhm.
yes, you have to check it against one variable all the time. You can't be assigning it to all the variables. If you assign to different variables, how will your control statement work? Your control statement must work based on one variable, right? You are comparing one variable to some number. So if you do your control statement, so for instance, there's a simple assignment I'll give you. If I say the last day of week, for instance, is 5. It's a simple use case. And I've just created a control statement. I'm going to compare the control statement against the day of week, right? I'm going to say if the day of week is what? If the day of week is 1, isn't it? Isn't this how you do? If you do it the other way around, if you assign several variables, you will not achieve the result you want to achieve. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
Doesn't still understand the whole idea. Are you with me? So I have a simple control statement based on something that it is doing what needs to be done. Good. Are you getting the whole idea? So I am
Yeah.
literally just saying, so else if, sorry. Are you with me? It's simple. Today is Monday. Today is Tuesday. Are you getting the logic here? So I'll do this control statement when until it gets exhaustive. Now this means this control statement is running on this number, right? Based on this number, the right message will be presented. Are you with me? Are people still confused? Any question? This is so you have a day of week, and based on the day of week, there's a particular message you are sharing on the screen. Any question? So we can say that if the day of week here is what do you expect to see? You should expect to see on the screen. Or today is what? Sunday, isn't it?
Mm.
If the day of the week variable becomes 3, what do you expect to see? Hope.
Today is Tuesday.
Today is Tuesday. Yeah. This is exactly what we show. You see, today is Tuesday. Yes. And if I give a string number like 300, what do I expect to see?
Unknown.
Today is unknown. Exactly. Are we on the same page? So control statement must be exhaustive. That's all. And it's based on a condition. And the condition is what? The day of the week. And we compare it against something. Because at the end of the day, whatever is happening in this box must be what? True or false, isn't it?
Okay, so Mr. Bright.
Yes, please.
So let day of the week be, let's say, equals to 5. Now, do we do it several times, or we just do it once?
I didn't do it several times. Did
So you
one.
just keep changing the no, you just keep changing the, let's say, if you want, let's say Sunday, you just change the number, let the day of the week equal 1, and then you give the answer, right?
Yeah, I don't need to do it severally. Yes, I don't
Okay.
have to. Because you are just checking it against any condition. On a normal day, you have made the person put in that value in a way. But now you just keep this value somewhere. If you change it, you get a different result. So based on what the person has changed this value to, you see the appropriate result. I hope that makes sense. So based on what the day of the week is, you see the right message. It's like showing the date to somebody or greeting somebody in a system that you have built. If the person comes and it's in the morning, wouldn't you say good morning? You can't say good morning and good afternoon at the same time. It can only be one at a particular time. Do you get my point?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So with the same understanding, do a control statement to say greetings to somebody. All right. And your control, are you all with me? This is what you are taking home and we'll present on Tuesday. So please pay attention. At least you have seen this one. This next one is I'm asking to do a control statement, and your variable is going to be you are going to state the time of the day. Are you with me? And the time of the day, you are going to use, we are going to use 1 to 23. Okay. Ideally when you get to 6 o'clock in some time, you can say 6, but 6 in the evening, we are considering it to be 18. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So build a control statement that based on the time I enter, it will either greet me good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Does that make sense, please? Don't be silent. You have heard me. I'm saying that. Do a control statement that based on the time of the day, it will either greet me good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. When we come Tuesday, you showcase your work. We'll ask you to change the time, and then you run your code, and we'll see the result that your code will be saying. Any clarification? No, what I've done is I'm not done yet, right? I should increase it to at least for 6, which is what, Friday, and at least for Saturday as well. I've not added those ones. It needs to be exhaustive. So yes. But I'm giving you another assignment. I'm saying do that one for time. If I come in to tell me good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on the time that I provided. So in your case, it was time of day instead of day of week. All right. Any question? Have you gotten the question?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Simon, Collins, Hope, Darwin, forgive. That's your question. Create a control statement that can greet somebody based on the time of the day that the person has provided. By so doing, you would have mastered your control statement, the if statement. So there are a lot of control statements, but the common one is called if else statement. That's the one we are tackling now. Okay. There are no questions. It is believed that control statements is clearer and that you'll be able to execute on your assignment. That being said, today's Thursday. Interesting. See you Tuesday with your assignment. It's just a simple one. It will be less than this self. It will be less than this. And then you just share your screen there. You just click your play, and then somebody will ask you to change the number. You click a play again, see if your logic is working fine. If your logic is not working, there.
So,
Alpha.
Bryce,
Yes, please.
please, I have a question.
Please ask.
Okay, okay, please, I want to ask, in place of console.log, can you put
Yes.
print there to output the,
Print.
yes, please.
You can, but you see, every language with how they display messages. Okay.
Okay,
If you are doing Python, you do print. So
okay,
every language with how they present their message on the terminal. So I don't have any problem. Whatever will put the thing on the terminal, you can just do it. But in JavaScript, the easiest way is console.log.
okay.
Any more questions?
Um,
The whole idea is so that you understand control statement, you understand the behavior when the thing is happening. Yes, please.
Mine is not a question, but I'd like you to stay on and help me with something.
Okay, sure. It's cool. If just the whole idea with the assignment is so that you can understand control statement. And remember, See, control statement can be it can be more. See, inside here you can chain actions. There's another way we indicate something called end. This is how we do end. So you can do two conditions here. Okay, you can do two conditions. It doesn't need to just be one condition. This means that if the day of week is this side is going to be, this side will result to true or false. This side will also result to true or false. And I'll combine the two before I produce the result. So it can get really complex. So you need to understand the basic one that we are doing 111, and then we can build on that moving forward. Yeah. So, right. That is it. Go and try your own on greetings. If the person do I tell the person good afternoon, good evening. Let us not put in a number and you'll be telling us good evening when we are in the morning. So please check your code very well. All right, cool. Thank you, and then nice having you here today. So yeah, only you can share your
I don't think I have to share my screen, but I think
okay, you
that's
can come
my
through.